Hey there everyone. The point of this video is to set up the group project you guys will do. I want to describe the project for you, talk about both the problem you're going to solve and also the kind of requirements your code must have when you're solving it. So let's start on the Moodle page. I'm at the top of the Moodle page now. If I scroll all the way down, there is a section called Project Materials. There are two documents there, two PDFs. The first one focuses on the coding requirements of this project. What does your code itself need to look like? The second document is background information that gives some vocabulary and just sets up the problem you're going to solve. Okay, so the point of this project is to solve a problem, or I guess maybe three problems are embedded in this project. And these problems are at sort of like the forefront of voting theory, you might say. We're basically going to the research horizon in social choice theory, and we're going to use Python to help us investigate these big questions. So I'm going to start by talking about this second document here, this information for voting project. Let me bring that up. Okay, so I'm not going to read all of this to you, but I want to hit some highlights. Okay, so let's just start by talking about what is this project about? What is the point of this? Okay, here's some background knowledge. During the last 3 to 4 years, dating back to say 2015, 2016, there's been a substantial movement to implement instant runoff voting in various elections. I will define that for you later, but just know this is a different way of electing a winner than just like counting up votes and seeing who won, right? Most votes wins. It's a different method than that. So just for example, the state of Maine has started using instant runoff voting for things like governor elections, congressional House and Senate elections, things like this. Most recently, New York City has decided to use this election method for mayoral elections. Cities like Oakland and San Francisco also use this method. So given this sort of move toward instant runoff voting, there's been a substantial debate, as you might expect, around using it. Should we use this or not? The point of this project is to investigate claims about instant runoff voting that I have found when investigating this debate. Okay, so one of my mathematical hobby horses is to keep my ear to the ground to see what people are saying in the popular press, sort of in the popular debate, about different voting methods. So I have 3 claims here in this document. 2 of them come from the New York Times. One of them comes from City and State New York. The reason I'm using New York-centric references here is because New York is the most recent place, New York City, the most recent place to start using instant runoff voting. Okay, so claim 1 that people make about instant runoff voting. Instant runoff voting helps to ensure that the winner of an election has the most support among the broadest number of people. You will see claims like this appearing all the time in the popular press. Basically, the claim is that instant runoff voting is more likely than plurality, and plurality, I should say, is the regular voting method, just most votes wins, right? You cast a vote for the person you like, and the most votes wins. So within this debate, people claim all the time that consensus candidates, or candidates that are broadly appealing, those kind of people are more likely to win an election under instant runoff voting than under our normal method. Okay, so this claim is saying that, hey, you want candidates that are broadly appealing, that will appeal to more people, that are sort of consensus candidates. Sometimes you'll hear people say moderate candidates, you know. You want those kind of candidates. Instant runoff voting is more likely than our current method to elect such people. Claim 2. Proponents of this method say that it prevents third-party candidates from becoming spoilers by siphoning a decisive number of votes from one of the major party contenders. Okay, so this kind of claim also appears a lot, that spoiler candidates are just much less of a problem for instant runoff voting than they are for our usual method. So I will have to define later what a spoiler is, but at the very least, if you follow this debate at all, you've heard the term spoiler, they are bad, you would like to avoid them. This claim is saying instant runoff voting helps avoid them. Okay, third claim. This guy says there's little reason to believe that instant runoff voting will promote legislative moderation because it usually produces the same outcome as what you would get from plurality. And then he gives this 90% number, okay? So this article is actually claiming that plurality and instant runoff voting choose the same candidate as the winner most of the time. And this person even says 90% of the time. Okay, so by the way, this person's kind of overlooking something, that the 10% of elections in which they differ, those might be the elections where it really matters. You know, these might be closer elections where it really matters which method you use. But let's put that aside. Okay, here are 3 claims about instant runoff voting. Are they true? Or I guess maybe to put it another way, is there any evidence to back these claims up? Is there any evidence that instant runoff voting more often than plurality chooses consensus candidates? Is there any evidence that spoilers are more of an issue for plurality than they are for instant runoff voting? Is there any evidence that plurality and instant runoff voting choose the same candidate much of the time? Okay, and what would the evidence look like? That's the point of this project, okay? To investigate these claims, and there are many others, I just picked out 3 of them. To investigate claims like this, from a theoretical perspective, involves a lot of math, okay? Math that is sort of beyond what you would learn as an undergraduate math major here. And most of you are not undergraduate math majors, right? But I just want to emphasize, these are difficult problems. If you want to try to verify from a theoretical standpoint that 90% of the time, sorry, let me get rid of this, 90% of the time the 2 methods agree, that's a difficult problem, okay? So, what do you do when confronted with difficult problems? Well, you can try to solve them theoretically, like and get a PhD in social choice theory along the way, or you can use programming, okay? So we're going to use Python to investigate these claims, to get some evidence for their truth or their falsity. Okay, so again, Python can help you solve problems, right? How do you investigate, whoa, what just happened? How do you investigate claims like this, right? Well, you can write code that sort of tries to build data for you and sees whether or not these claims bear out or not. Okay, so I'm going to stop this video here just to keep these videos short, but that's the point of this project, to investigate these 3 claims. So in the next video, I will define instant runoff voting for you, so we have a common reference point for what we're talking about, and then define things for you like spoiler and consensus candidate. What do those things actually mean? That's in the next video.